What's up, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to the Avarice podcast, Avarice Trading Channel on YouTube. However you found me, wherever you are, here I am. Welcome to the show. So, we finished up our set of commentaries on the Halloween franchise, and I was wondering kind of what I wanted to do next. Excuse me. So, basically, I'm going to do Scream next. I've seen the first two a bunch of times. I've seen the third one a handful of times. I've seen parts of the fourth one a couple times. I don't think I've ever watched it all the way through. I don't really know what the actual entire storyline is or anything. So we're going to see how this goes. I don't have quite as much knowledge of... That's the garbage disposal. I do that almost every time. I don't have quite as much knowledge of the Scream franchise as I did for the Halloween franchise. But that's going to be the case for most anything that I do a commentary on or review. There's just not as much to know, and I, just am not as interested. That's not to say I don't like the Scream franchise. It's just Halloween is kind of the one. So we'll see how well I do, see how well you guys like it. So that is the big reveal, or small reveal. So that's the micro penis of the night that we're doing Scream. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to get your situation in order. If you're going to watch along, you don't have to. I'm going to have it playing and you'll be able to slightly hear it in the background, barring a copyright complaint, at which point I will do some noise cancellation on it and you'll be able to hear it less, but hopefully that doesn't happen and you'll be able to hear it in the background a little bit so you can kind of coordinate. I'll also give you a sync point when we first start. Otherwise, you can just enjoy the audio in podcast form, minimize it on your computer, download it on iTunes, whatever the case may be. So while you're getting situated, I'm going to go ahead and make a fresh cup of coffee. I've already got my bong out there and ready to go. We'll take the ceremonial bong hit before I push play, and we'll get this party started. Coffee and weed, my body doesn't know what to do. So while we're waiting for this, I'm excited to do the Scream franchise. Scream was a very interesting, pivotal, and important movie in history, especially for horror and the slasher genre. It was extremely original. So it came out in '96, where we were at a real low point. The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, Friday the 13th franchise, the Halloween franchise, they had done so many sequels and just driven themselves into the ground, and people were kind of sick of it. Excuse me. And so Scream came along, and it was definitely not more of the same. It was a very original idea. It was executed in a way that was felt super modern at the time. It's not a period piece, but it definitely is super representative of the point in time when it was made. And it basically gave the genre a jump start, like those little George Clooney heart paddle things. It fucking gave it an electric shock and brought horror back in a big way. It bred, of course, sequels to this. We got Halloween H2O after this, and then we got a whole bunch of imitators to Scream that were, fun, but just not quite as good. Scream actually, if you really look at it, and it's maybe not seen in as high a regard because it's so new in comparison to some of the other classics, but if you really look at Scream, it's got to be one of the top horror movies of all time, especially for what it did for the genre and bringing back horror. And another thing you have to do when you watch these, which is kind of hard, all these different horror movies, is put yourself in the period that they came out and try to understand how much of the envelope they were pushing for that period of time. It's like watching a stand-up special from the 80s or even the 60s. The jokes are going to seem pretty campy and pretty ho-hum, like a children's birthday party. But that's because that's the edge they were pushing back then. To that audience, that was edgy and funny. And then that edge gets pushed farther and farther out, so everybody's got to walk up to meet it. So a couple, 20 years later, you go back to watch a comedy special or a horror movie, and it doesn't seem quite as scary or something to that effect. It may be just because you're looking at it from the period of time that you're living in and not the period of time it was made. And especially with the way that technology, etc., has advanced so quickly, movies become unrealistic or obsolete fairly quickly if you look at them with a modern perspective. Excuse me. Sorry, sipping probably got on mic. So, like, a lot of horror movies, now that cell phones and shit like that are out, just wouldn't play right. This, I'm not quite sure if this would play out right with cell phones. You have, like, the original Halloween. That's the OG. That's the one that started it all. It kind of bred a genre. It kind of started all this. Started the slasher genre. Excuse me. And if you go back and look at it, there's almost no gore. There's only the one nudity shot with Linda. See anything you like? Oh my God, my dog is going to start making a bunch of fucking noise now because I started recording something, and that's just the way life is. Anyway, so the original Halloween, not a lot of gore, not a lot of nudity. I believe only 4 kills, and that's including Judith. No, wait, 5. So not a high body count. It was just so original and so creepy and shot in such a way that looked so good. It was so suspenseful that it really resonated with people. But if you go back and try to compare it, if you're just like a gore maniac or something like that, it doesn't actually have a lot of killing or blood or anything like that in it. It's just creepy. So anyway, I'm sitting down here, got the old PlayStation fired up. Let me get the movie queued so that all I have to do is push play here in a minute. Sorry for this long-ass silence. I'm getting... The movie started in the middle, so I'm getting it back to the beginning so that we'll be ready to go. Okay, so now do ceremonial bong hit to commence the playing of the movie, and then I'll give you our countdown and we'll start the show. That one wasn't great. We're going to do a follow-up. Gonna need you to do a retraction on that one. Hi, I'm looking for Ray Finkel and a clean pair of shorts. Okay, so here we go. We are hitting play in 3, 2, 1, play. Almost sounded like the Halloween music there at the beginning. Hopefully your version has this. I don't even know what this is. It says Emon. It's got like a rainbow. Hopefully your version has that and we're synced up. Emon Home Entertainment. Now we're at the Miramax Cityscape. So this movie came out in '96 around Christmas, which is very interesting because it was I think it was the first horror movie to ever come out around Christmas. Title screen. It doesn't have like a trademark intro song or anything like that. We just jump right into the action.
Hello? Yes?
Who is this?
Who are you trying to reach?
What number is this?
What number?
You dialed it. What do you mean, what number is this?
Well, I think you have the wrong number.
Do I?
It happens. Take it easy.
The idea of the killer calling and being on the phone was so original. Pardon me. And the voice that they cast
Hello?
was perfect. And what's interesting is
To apologize.
they actually never had the actors and actresses see the guy that's the voice for Ghostface in person. He was only over the phone. He was on set nearby, but they never laid eyes on him. So it added that creepy factor for them when they're actually playing it, because he's just a voice to them. Also, what's funny is she had that trademark, that blue screen on the old tube TVs with VHSs. You turn your VCR on to channel 3, and if you didn't have anything playing, it'd just be that blue screen.
Hello?
Why don't you want to talk to me?
Now she's making the vintage-ass Jiffy Pop.
Your name, I'll tell you.
I think I had that a couple times in my life. I couldn't tell you if it's better.
What's that noise?
I do know every fucking time I make popcorn in a microwave, not every time, 50% of the time it ends up burnt. Doesn't matter whose house I'm at, how nice their microwave is, 50% of the time, microwave popcorn ends up burnt.
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
See, so this is the first scary movie that knows that the audience is aware of scary movies, and it's going to tell you that it's aware of scary movies. So you're like, oh, where are they going with this?
What's yours?
Her favorite movie's Halloween.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Is that the one where the guy had knives for fingers?
Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy, that's right. I like that movie.
Her haircut, makeup, all of it's super 90s.
The rest sucks.
So, you got a boyfriend?
So you got a boyfriend?
You want to ask me out on a date?
Maybe. Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
So I want to know who I'm looking at.
That's where they grab you, right there. The idea that he would be outside and calling her on the phone. Cell phones were a newer technology at this point. Not super new, but they were getting better and better. They were nowhere near what we know today. But they were getting smaller, battery charge lasted longer, reception was better, service plans were better, all that. And I don't know about everybody, but most people have a tremendous fear, especially when it's dark and they're home alone, that somebody's outside is watching them. A house with all those windows.
Not to hang up on me.
What do you want?
Movies like this caused quite a bit of fear in my youth in regards to situations such as this. I didn't like walking by windows in the dark. Nowadays, I like the dark. There's not a light on in my house right now.
You hang up on me again, I'll
Yeah.
touch you like a fish, understand?
Why so serious? See, the voice is just fucking perfect in the way he delivers it.
Game, really? Can you handle that?
Blondie. So now she knows that he can see her because he called her Blondie. Another interesting thing that I like to do is I like to try to figure out who's doing what over the phone and the killing. I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you've seen the movie, so we know there's two killers, Billy and Stu. So it's interesting to try to figure out which one of them is doing the kills, etc. To see what her insides look like. Like, this beginning scene is truly creepy and so fucking original. I can't even convey with words how thrilling it was to see this for the first time.
You should never say who's there. Don't you watch scary movies? It's a death wish.
See,
Out here to investigate
see they
noise or something.
they make you aware that they know it's a rule, and then they go ahead and commit it anyway.
You better just...
Or do it beforehand and then say, we know that's a cliche.
My boyfriend will be here any second and he'll be pissed when you...
They're half making fun of the cliches,
I love
and steering into them and then going away from them and steering into them. So it really creates this, the audience doesn't know where you're going, and it's great. The way they acknowledge the cliches and then choose to use some of them still and then choose to completely ignore other ones, it's a guessing game now. The audience doesn't know what to expect. And so you've taken the cliche situation and just turned it on its head. What's old is new again. Excuse me. One part, she said he's big and he plays football. This fucking guy. Look at him. He's in the math club and he skinned his knee riding his bicycle. You couldn't have got a more football player looking dude to be that guy? This game that they play, the question, the trivia, it's interesting because before I'd ever seen this movie, my aunt, who's only like 5 or 6 years older than me, it's an odd explanation, but yeah, I have an aunt who's only 5 years older than me, and she had rented this and we were going to watch it, but I didn't know anything about it. And beforehand, she played this, who's the killer in Halloween? And I said, Michael Myers. And she said, who's the killer in Friday the 13th? And I fucking said, Jason Voorhees. And she said, no, it's Jason's mother. And I went, motherfucker, I should have known that. And then we watched this movie and I felt so stupid. But it was interesting how she managed to play the same fucking mind game on me that they played on her in this. So you have to assume one of them is talking to her on the phone and one of them is doing the killing. Is that what's going on? Yes! See, now for the real question. He knows that this is kind of a trick question. So I'm closing my blinds. My dog is starting to growl outside and it's going to ruin the recording. She's inside. She's starting to look outside and growl. Jason!
I'm sorry. That's the wrong answer.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Jason.
Right now? No way.
Listen, it was Jason. I got
This is exactly how I felt. It's so funny.
Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, was the original killer. Jason didn't show up until the sequel. I'm afraid.
And looking out into that country,
There's a bonus round. Poor Steve. I'm afraid.
this gut move goes quick. Now, they had to cut a bunch of shit out to get their R rating, and in this scene, when they show his guts, the guts slid down and fell. So instead of showing that, they just show the end where they'd already fallen, and they hung on it for longer. This movie originally had a lot more gore in it, but to get out of the NC-17 territory and get an R rating, they cut down. That guy's voice.
Are you ready? Answer the question and I will.
So the question is, what door am I at? They just gutted the dude on the back patio. What fucking door do you think they're at? I always thought that was a little bit of a dumbass question that she didn't just say the back door. I mean, I know she's scared shitless, but I immediately was like, well, the back door, because you just killed somebody at the back door. And look, it's the back door. Gee. Also hilarious, during this scene, they were using the 2 lines in the house for the interaction over the phone. And she started having to try to call 911 and hang up and all this shit. And she was actually calling the real 911. So the police station called the house and was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? It was pretty funny. I made that sound like I was there. I wasn't there. Again, by the time I watched this movie came out around Christmas and was in theaters until May, which is unheard of. And I didn't see it till it came out on VHS, so I probably saw it more around like Christmas '97, and I would have been 10. Yeah, 10. So this was scary as shit to me, because I felt helpless, just like she does right now in situations like this. Home Alone, or just, you know, you're the last one up and it's dark and you walk by the patio door and you can't see, you just, these movies definitely do plant the seed in your head that somebody is watching you in circumstances like that. They don't help. But it also might be a first shot of the mask. Boom! An interesting comparison between this and Michael is that it's a far different looking mask, but in many ways, the look of the killer is the same. It's nothing except a face. Essentially, that's very similar to Michael, except it doesn't even have hair. And the face is pure white. This one actually has a little bit of emotion. It appears to almost be screaming or sad. But it's all black otherwise, so that the face stands out, and a knife. But this killer actually has a butcher knife, or a hunting knife instead of a butcher knife. But you can definitely see how it's kind of a model of a Michael Myers type character. And they somehow, if you saw that mask on a shelf, it doesn't scream out to you serial killer, but it worked fucking perfect for this. It just caught on so well and resonated. Jesus ain't got nothing to do with it. I think this is Stu. Because Stu dated her. And then she dumped him for Steve. And Billy is clearly the one who's better at speaking. Especially at organizing his thoughts and having tact. When you look at their scenes and their interactions when they're at school. So I think that Billy was on the phone and that Stu was doing the killing there. Because Stu would want to. Like, if they're talking about it and they're planning this, Billy and Stu, she broke up with Stu and dumped him for Steve. So Stu would want to kill her and Steve. It just makes sense. And then Billy would get to play the fucking mind games on him. That's my opinion here. So the line's still open and she can hear her moaning. And now and he's so brazen. He's literally right on the other side of the door that you see behind her, hanging up their daughter right now. They sped this shot up again to help with the rating. It used to hang for a bit more. And you really saw the steaming guts and the expression. Look at that. Oh my god, that was fucking terrifying. Smash cut. I almost want to hear Halloween music here. Pum 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 pum. Damn, Nev Campbell. Looking cute. She looks kind of like my wife. So Nev Campbell at this point was pretty much the most famous person in the movie, I think. I mean, no, there's Courtney Cox, was very famous also. But she was on a sitcom as well, Party of Five, that was doing well. So he's supposed to be like the Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street character, and he just snuck into the window almost exactly like Johnny Depp does in Nightmare on Elm Street.
No. I'm hitting the sack. My flight leaves first thing in the morning. Now the expo runs all week.
So this scene is basically here so that we have an explanation for why her dad is out of town. And that's going to be the reason that she doesn't have essentially adult supervision for most of the movie. And it's also so they can use him as a red herring. Because again, they're aware of all the rules. So they're throwing teasers out to you constantly. They make it look like different people could be the character at different times. They even make it super obvious that Billy is the killer, but you don't believe it because your head is so fucked up by all the rules they're breaking and telling you about, like, and following. They tell you about the rule and they follow it. They tell you about the rule and they break it. It gets, but it's not confusing in a bad way. It's like a, oh my god, I can't figure out where this is going next way. He's a handsome bastard. I'm surprised he didn't do more things. He's in a great movie called The Newton Boys, though, with Matthew McConaughey, Dwight Yoakam. It's a good movie where they rob banks in the old days. Billy says so many things that are related to films. He's watching The Exorcist. Now he's talking about how their relationship, he's putting it in terms of the rating system for films. Edited for television, R rating. He's obsessed with movies.
Okay.
But not in the same way. He's not as outward with it. Like the Randy character. The Randy character's super into movies and goofy and just wears it on his sleeve. Billy's like the kid who has a depressed life, and so he sits in his room and watches movies all the time. I grew up in a moderate-sized town in central Washington. It has like 100,000 people now. But it was... the beginning of my childhood, the internet wasn't that big of a deal, and then once it had come out, we really didn't have a computer, and then we got a computer, and then we had dial-up internet, so there wasn't always a lot to do, and we rented a lot of movies, and so I spent a lot of my like, I would come to my grandparents' house, and we'd go to the video store, and almost every single new release that they would ask me about, I would tell them I'd seen. I was just super up on movies. So I kind of vibe with Billy on that. There is a gap, though. Right after I got out of high school, there was like 4 or 5 years where I didn't pay attention to shit for movies. You know how that goes. And now I'm married. I have a 5-year-old, so I don't always get to keep up on movies the way I want to.
PG-13 relationship.
Sometimes instead of risking watching a new movie that might be a piece of shit or a new TV show that might be a piece of shit, I just go back and watch one that I know I like. I don't know if I'm weird in that regard. I'm one of the only people I know that will watch a movie or a TV show series over and over again. I've seen The Wire and The Sopranos front to back like 5 times each. So this high school is actually a community center, and this felt to me the first time I saw it like exactly what it would be like at school the next morning if somebody had gotten murdered. It was just fucking spot on. Myself as a 10, 11, whatever I was watching this, I was just like, oh my god, this is exactly what it would be like pulling up to school the next day if there was a murder. And you'd be confused, and there's TV reporters everywhere. So the reason that this is a community center, they had to dress up to look like a high school, is because the high school they wanted to use, they got kicked out of because of the content of the movie and its promotion of violence towards children. That fucking color she's wearing. Oh man, Rose McGowan. Rose McGowan was so hot back then. Like, oh my god. I do wish she had the darker hair. But I think what happened was, originally Drew Barrymore was supposed to play Neve Campbell's character, Sydney. And so they cast Rose McGowan to play opposite her, being a brunette. Drew Barrymore has blonde hair. Then Drew Barrymore had other commitments and decided that she wanted to be the opening girl because it would be more shocking to the audience if she died in the first 15 minutes of the movie. And they did that. They moved Neve Campbell into the lead role, so Rose McGowan decided to bleach her hair so that she could still play opposite her and it wouldn't be two brunettes. This kid with his fucking sweater tied around his shoulders. So this is in California. It's Woodsboro, California is the town it's supposed to be. I fucked up on a commentary in Halloween and said that it was like Massachusetts or something. You definitely know that it's Woodsboro, but I never really bothered trying to figure out what state it was. It wasn't relevant to me, but they do seem like California kids. And the interactions with each other are very modern feeling. And of course, if you want to go you have to go to like a bigger city if you want the most modern feeling interactions between young kids. This is a great small town setting though. They really create something the way that John Carpenter did with his Haddonfield. Like this is Woodsboro. This is the place. This is a small town. So now we've got Stu See, Stu knows because he had to do it, and he knows how hard it was.
Exactly the same thing. Yeah, Casey and Steve were completely hollowed out. The fact is, it takes a man to do something like that.
For a man's mentality. How do you gut someone?
And then they really just show you that he's a psycho right here. He's just so nonchalant about this. And then you can tell that Billy's like, why are you talking about this motherfucker? He's keeping Stu in line.
You used to date Casey.
You can see the dynamic when you really look at it. But again, they were keeping you reeling with so many different directions.
Shit. And are the police aware that you dated the victim? What are you saying? That I killed her? It would certainly improve your high school kill.
See, Randy doesn't give a fuck. He just goes out with it. He just comes with whatever he's thinking.
Or after he snaps
He's a great character. I really wish he didn't die in the second one.
working. Thank you.
What's funny is they're supposed to be in high school. I don't know the ages of everybody, but Jamie Kennedy, I think, is 27 in this.
Thanks, buddy.
Almost, he's ready to go to his 10-year reunion, and he's playing a high schooler.
Got your ass in a second, kid. Tell me something.
Did you really put her liver in the mailbox? Because I heard that they found her liver in the mailbox.
I think this doing the voice and stuff like that, I think that's just them letting him play within the script to do what he wanted to do.
Better live her alone.
Leave her alone. Matthew Lillard is such a great, just off-the-wall character. He should have got cast in more stuff. I love his part in Summer Catch, 13 Ghosts. I saw in a documentary that he didn't really like his performance in this. He thinks that he's just bouncing off the walls crazy and that he spits flying everywhere. But that's who Stu's supposed to be. Like in the original script, it says Stu is almost handsome, almost a jock. He's almost cool. He tries way too hard. That was the core description of the character before they ever had anybody set to play it. That was the words on the page. And so his goofiness and the spit flying out of his mouth and him making off-color comments embodies that fully. I think he did a perfect job. That view, though, fuck me. Right there, on the roof. You could get on that roof. I can see it. You could totally get up on that roof. Let's smoke a joint on the roof. Get a tan. What'd you say? You about it? It's a fucking staircase. Wherever her dad is on business or whatever, he is balling. He's bathing in that shit. See, that noise, that's the closet that the killer comes out, or Ghostface comes out of later. Is he already in there? The way it plays that noise when she opens the closet is pretty eerie, and I always wondered why they chose to do it there. Or is something's supposed to be going on in the background behind it that the door's blocking off. And if he is in the closet, then he hides there while she takes a nap and clear up until it's dark outside. So now we're going to find out, courtesy of provocateur Gail Weathers, that Sydney's mom was murdered a year ago. And so now we kind of get hints towards her background and a little bit of more drama built into her situation. And we understand that she's already trying to recover from a trauma before any of this. So you hear the noise? So there was a noise in the closet again. I think he's already supposed to be in there. But that's a long fucking wait, man. That's some patience. What did that say? 5:45? 6:45? Probably 5:45. Do I sound like a frog right there? Sometimes I get mumbly. I've listened back to a little bit of my stuff, and I do get a bit mumbly sometimes. I'll get better. I'm learning. I think I've only done 10 of these. 12, maybe. The house of the setting sun. Okay, so now it's 7:15. So she's been asleep for an hour and a half. And it's dark.
Hello?
So now he would know she's awake. But if he was in the closet talking to her on the phone, wouldn't she, like, actually hear him outside the phone? Like, you'd be able to tell. You have the phone up to one ear. If you start hearing his voice echoing out of the closet in the other ear, it seems like that wouldn't be too plausible. The jackets and stuff might help soundproof it. I don't know that he was already supposed to be in there, but I'm just guessing. Or are they still doing the tandem thing?
Tatum, just get in the car.
Because it's always possible that one's on the phone while one's in the costume.
Well,
It almost makes more sense because it would be pretty hard to talk through the mask unless they just take the mask off or put the mask on after they get off the phone.
Randy, you gave yourself away. Are you calling from work because Tatum's on her way home?
See, and Randy's so goofy and into movies and voices and shit, she just assumes it's him.
Sex.
We know not, obviously.
Oh, come on, you know I don't watch that shit.
Too scared.
No, it's just what's the point? We're all the same. Some stupid killer stuck on some big-breasted girl who can't act. He's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front.
See, she makes fun of how scary movies typically do that, but in a second, when he starts chasing her, she's going to run up the stairs. And they're totally aware that they do that. But they throw you off the trail. She says that that's what girls always do. So you're like, oh, she's going to go out the front door. And then she runs up, up the fucking stairs. And you don't expect it because they already announced it.
So where?
She's kind of believing it, but not really. God damn, she's cute.
Calling from my front porch.
That's the original part.
See, he tells her to go, that he's on the front porch so that she'll go to that door. And now he knows where she is in the house, and it's right in front of that closet he's hiding in. It's a sound strategy. And Billy would know how her house is laid out, or at least should. He's her boyfriend.
So where are you?
And Billy was just there the night before. Maybe he left a window unlocked or left something ajar, came up with his plan. You don't know, but he was there the night before. And I think that they were both at Casey's house. I think Billy was on the phone and Stu did the killing.
Can you see me right now? Okay. What am I doing? Huh? Huh?
It almost makes her more attractive that she's just willing to pick her nose like that. She didn't give it a good college try though.
Hurry up.
A good country try. She did give it a college try. I can't. She does great acting with her eyes and looking shocked and scared. She goes back in the house, and then he's gonna pop out of the closet. See what I'm saying, though? Has he been hiding in that closet for hours? And which one is this? This is probably... Oh. This has got to be Billy all on his own. Right? Well, the dialogue wasn't quite as cunning that time. The Ghostface voice wasn't quite as sly as he was when he was talking to Casey. So maybe that was Stu on the phone, and then this is Billy here. But later, Billy drops the phone. That's pretty fucking quick for him to have been able to do that. He has the right boots on, and he's wearing all black. But that would have been so fast for him to get down the stairs, take that shit off, and then climb up to her window. Maybe he was on the phone again and Stu was in the suit. He did always have a thing for you, Sid. That was supposed to be like a laugh with the introduction to Dewey there, but I was talking over it. Dewey was originally written as like a kind of a muscle-bound, kind of jarhead kind of guy. But David Arquette was brought in to audition for Billy, and he liked this character better. So they went ahead and gave it to him, and it ended up being like the staple character of his career, other than Ready to Rumble. It's not that I have trouble. I just don't always see the tip. See, the Volkswagen Beetle, that's a shout out to The Shining, I think.
I'm so sorry.
Tatum, you can't be here. This is official crime scene.
It's okay.
I can't remember now which one's which. In the book is it red and then in the movie it's yellow? Or vice versa. I think in the book it's red and in the movie it's yellow. But I think that bug is in this movie totally as a shout out to The Shining. She is a career-oriented woman. She's going to succeed no matter who she has to step on. And she plays that character great. And it's a total change-up from her character on Friends. She was on Friends at the time, so she was probably the most famous person in the movie, for sure. And she was interested in it because it was, like I just said, it was a different type of character from what she normally got to play. She's got those highlights in and that lipstick. And she's looking fine. And she has more of a sexy factor in these movies than she does in Friends. Her hair is totally fucked up in Scream 3. But in this one, and especially in Scream 2,
Did you find him?
she's pouring some sugar on me.
At the airport.
He's not registered there. Could he have stayed somewhere else?
I don't know. I guess.
So Billy could have been distracting her while Stu kidnapped her dad. Because we know that Billy and Stu have her dad. He never made it to where he was going. His car is dumped in the bushes down the street, and they bring him out later. So they're more coordinated in acting as a team than they spell out, I think. Again, I'm connecting all these dots on my own. But one has to wonder.
I wanted to see her, that's all. Last night? Sid, you said you crawled through a window last
Isn't there supposed to be a lawyer present? Is his dad a lawyer? Do they say that?
I was watching TV. I got bored. I decided to go for a ride. Did you happen to ride by Casey Becker's house?
You ever decide to wash your hair?
No, I didn't. Sheriff, I didn't kill anybody.
Kind of not believable.
I told you, son.
You seem like a psycho. You don't seem upset by this at all.
Just crazy. I'm bad. I didn't do it.
Now you look like you're trying to make yourself cry and it's not working. This has got to be horrible for her. Her mom got murdered a year ago. Now she thinks that her boyfriend just tried to murder her. Kenny actually gained 20 pounds so that these fat jokes would play a little bit better because he wasn't that fat. And excuse me, sorry. What I was gonna say isn't relevant at the moment, so I'll wait. God damn, Tatum. Take me back. Do 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 do. Take me back. I don't call that a reason. I just call it believing in myself. Sorry, I saw her walk up in her outfit, and I thought, take me back to the 90s. And so then I just, take me back, do. Popped into my head. Dr. Drew, do.
Hey, Dewey, can we go now?
God damn, she's hot. It's distracting.
Damn it, Dewey.
Well, what did Mama tell you? When I wear this badge, you treat me like a man of the law.
Dewey boy, we're ready to go now, okay?
Why is it in situations like that you get the least respect from the people that should be cutting you a break the most? Like, your sister should be on your side. She should be trying to help you with your career, like, make you look good, not fucking cutting you down in public every chance she gets. It's fucked up. Dewey should have been the killers just so he could slice that bitch up. Then again, later in the movie when she gets killed, he doesn't seem to give a fuck. He never really addresses it. She's an integral part of this movie, but nobody really cares that she dies, except for when Sydney sees her in the garage door. She freaks out.
No, Tatum, it's okay. She's just doing her job, right, Kim? Yes, that's right.
Oof. She's
We'll be out later this year.
getting adversarial with her.
I'll send you a copy.
Watch, Kenny's gonna grab her tit right here. Oh no, they cut it. The first shot of that, Kenny accidentally grabbed her tit, and the actor was saying he has a camera on one shoulder and he's holding her up with his other arm. He can't adjust really, so he's just got this little part, and she's the big TV star, and he fucking grabs her by the tit when she falls in. I wonder how it felt to get punched. I mean, damn, wearing the big T-shirt as pajamas.
Yeah.
I feel like based off your personalities, your sleeping attire should be swapped, but I'm not going to argue. Tell me a story, Nev. Any story.
He was destined to have a flaw.
You guys always wear makeup to bed and earrings?
Nothing, honey. Who's dead? My dad? I don't think so. Take a message. No.
Who calls you at a friend's house? Never got phone calls at my friend's house besides from my parents.
How's she doing?
You didn't notice? You didn't notice the motherfucker's voice was terrifying? See, and this is great because we're kind of believing that it's Billy, but he's in jail and she gets the call. And again, they've probably worked this out. I think that Billy and Stu wanted Billy getting caught to be part of their quote-unquote movie that they're making. Part of the story they wanted to create was Billy going to jail and her getting this call. So that was obviously Stu, because even if Billy did use his one phone call to call her, he's not going to have his voice-changing box in the fucking jail. So that definitely was Stu that just called her.
Sydney Prescott, who escaped a vicious attack last night, is the daughter of Maureen Prescott, who was brutally killed last year.
One thing, though, the voice box thing is creative, except for the fact that throughout the entire franchise, all the killers managed to get their hands on the exact same one, and when they're talking, they all have the same inflection and pronounce words the same, which is not how it would go if you were using voice-changing software. You put different emphasis on different syllables, and the cadence of your speech is different. And then, of course, an accent goes into it. So that is an inconsistency. Although the voice is so great, how do you recast it? Of course, the voice-changing box shit doesn't exist. At least it didn't then. It was a great piece of the story, though, because then there's two of them, and it can be either one at either time because they have the voice-changing box. But again, the cadence. Because there it was, poor Billy boyfriend. When, if you imagine the Stu character saying it, it'd be like, poor Billy boyfriend, guy doesn't stand a chance with you. Just the inflection is different. I'm not trying to poke holes in this movie. I love this movie. Just calling it like I see it, as I see it. I think I've said that in another commentary. It's the way it goes.
Stop right there. I'm not here to fight.
Camera.
Kenny, Please. You owe me. I owe you.
Eyes so
Oh,
blue.
my mother. Your mother's murder was last year's hottest court case. Somebody was gonna write a book about it. Right, and it had to do with all your lies and bullshit theories. What is your problem? You got what you
See,
wanted.
Gail will do anything to get famous.
Luke is not gonna change that.
She's also brutally honest,
Innocent?
which you have to kind of respect. She's as candid as it gets.
You did all those stories.
Except for with Dewey. She plays Dewey like a fiddle.
Falsely identified him, yes. Have you talked to
Or at least tries to.
and has his
She does manage to get out of him that Sydney's father is a suspect when he shouldn't be revealing that information.
He's lying. She never would have touched him. He raped her, and then he butchered her. Her blood was all over his coat. He was drunk that night.
See, again, we're getting more explaining of the background of Sydney, and that there's a bit of controversy, in fact, behind
Someone,
the murder of her mother.
the same someone.
She accused somebody. Gail doesn't believe that it's him. Gail actually turns out to be right. So Sydney's pissed at her in this entire movie for no reason. She's actually right. She's just willing to say it.
You're not so sure anymore,
I'm not.
are you? Nice well, sweetie.
Man, I really wish Rose McGowan had her natural hair color in this because it goes with her skin tone so much better.
Sorry, I mangled your face. Sydney, don't go. Stop.
No offense, Rose. I'm just saying. Still, you're so hot you're distracting. I'll take it.
Jesus Christ. This man on death row.
She calls him Jesus so many times in this movie.
No, no, no. It's okay. We don't have anything concrete.
This is huge. You can't just sit on it.
I know.
I wonder how uncomfortable those cameras are to hold up on your shoulder like that.
Yes, I could save him.
I bet they're awkward as fuck. And we thought that those were small and high tech in the day.
This is a mistake. I shouldn't be here.
I want you to meet me right here after class, okay, son?
What? Says you branded him the Candyman? There's so many movie references. I jumped the gun on that a little bit, but I saw him and it made me think of it.
Stu.
That is part of what makes the costume idea in the movie so scary. They make it a thing that anybody can get anywhere, and it actually becomes popular. So trying to track who paid for it is pointless. And when she goes off to college, whatever, it's available all the time. It's an easy to find thing.
No. No, I don't. It's just somebody.
And also super recreatable and consistent is when you compare it to like Halloween or Friday the 13th. They never do any damage shit or really change it or go from bag head to hockey mask or go from regular Michael Myers mask to pink with white hair.
Sorry, please understand.
He still has the ink on him, so he either went home and didn't take a shower or he left jail and went straight to school.
What is it?
What is it? Billy, I was attacked and nearly filleted last night.
I mean, between us, you haven't been the same since your mother died.
Is your brain looking? My mom was killed.
Because he killed her mother, he's very aware of observing the change in her after, before and after.
Last time we got over that.
It would be more apparent to him, especially since he killed the mom.
It's the way it is.
That is not a great comparison, dude, if you're trying to work this relationship out.
Your mom left town. She's not lying in a coffin somewhere.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's a bad analogy.
Yeah, it is.
I want my girlfriend back. Say it.
I'm sorry if my traumatized life has inconvenienced you and your perfect existence.
It's far from perfect. Believe that.
Stupid. So sick.
Harry Winkler's fucking great.
Thieving, whoring generation disgusts me.
I would think that something that's kind of a flaw, but it works in the movie. But in real life, they wouldn't have released the description of what the killer was wearing or the mask that they found
Come on, Mr. Henry.
to the media and to the public like that right away. They would try to do some background on it.
You're absolutely right. It's not fair.
It wouldn't be public knowledge that quickly, I don't think.
Hang you from a tree so we can expose you for
Him poking them with the scissors was not in the script. That's why that dude looks authentically scared. He wasn't expecting him to just put those scissors up to his neck like that. I always wondered how the killer knew that she was going to go in here. And this is Stu. Because she just left Billy wherever she was and walked in to the bathroom.
What if Sydney killed Casey and Steve?
These girls are super fucking 90s too.
She had the hots for Steve and killed him.
They're straight out of Clueless.
Sydney went with Steve. She's her own bubble butt boyfriend, Billy. Maybe she's a slut, just like her mother.
We always think we're so smart too.
Her mother was a tramp.
Built on the backs of those we condemn.
And it fucked her up royally. Think about it. Her mother's death leaves her disturbed and hostile in a cruel and inhumane world. She's delusional. Where's God? Etc. Completely suicidal. One day she snaps.
Girl's really cute, but if she's supposed to be in high school, she looks way too old for her age. She's
Suicide is so much.
not going to age well. She's already got, yeah.
Where do you get this shit? Ricky, you are.
Nev Campbell looked like she had a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow on her upper lip there. Sweat in her peach fuzz. Yo, dog, don't sweat my peach fuzz. Fuck that bathroom, it's filthy. Dana's fast. Okay. I used to do that from when I was a toddler clear up until I probably fucking the 2nd grade. I would walk in and check under all the stalls. I was afraid of having other people in the bathroom with me. This could have all been bred out of these movies too, but I've always kind of naturally been hyper aware of potential danger. Like when my mom, used to park at the gas station and run in to buy cigarettes and leave me in the car by myself, my first instinct was to find a pen or something to stab somebody with if they tried to come take me. I don't know why, it just seems to be inherent in me. It's just in there. It's just my instinct is to make sure that I can protect myself. Nice screams, Stu.
In what appears to be a prank, several students were seen wearing scary masks.
Did that railing lean when she pulled on it? It looked like it did.
This is known to be the same costume worn by the killer. 17-year-old Casey Becker and her boyfriend Stephen Orr have already lost their lives. Who's next? You can literally feel the fear on this campus. Hi, Gail Weathers.
She's gonna come try to put the moves on him. She's trying to manipulate him to get information. He's a mark.
Is there a problem on campus?
No.
But he actually plays her. He put some nice moves on her himself.
Not supposed to be.
And what's funny is this is actually kind of authentic flirting between them. As David Arquette puts it, he was stalking her when they first got on set and started shooting.
25 years old.
And he basically made it his intention to start a relationship with her and succeeded. And he said that a lot of the awkwardness and flirting between them and this is just real. Of course, later down the road, she fucks him over and leaves him for a guy from her TV show. But we also know that he had some substance abuse problems, and I imagine that he's not the most mentally stable guy because he grew up in a commune and shit like that. So you don't know what it's like to be in a relationship with him. We just see what we get in interviews and his acting performances. Anyway, that was a tangent. I believe his dad is in this too, or is that the next one? It might be the next one, where his dad is the police chief.
I mean, we certainly don't have any leads.
His real life dad.
Have you located Sydney's father yet?
No,
Well, he's not a suspect.
Got kind of a weird hairline in the back.
possibility.
Almost comes down to 2 points on each side.
Sorry, am I keeping
1 point on each side, 2 total.
If I may say so, Miss Weathers, you are much prettier in person.
So you do watch the show?
25. I was 24 for a whole year.
Holy shit, we should study you by science. He was an age for a whole year. That's different than any person that's ever existed.
Well, you're not to be alone anymore, right? If you eat, I eat. Is that clear?
I don't know what the fuck he says there, but it's definitely was flavor of the month then to talk like that.
Are you serious?
So I believe that I was talking over the announcement that school is canceled
I mean,
until further notice. Because we're getting towards the last half of the movie, and the last 40 minutes of the movie takes place at Stu's house, or as the creators of the movie call it, the cast and crew, scene 118. Because so much of the movie took place at Stu's house that they spent a shitload of time filming there. That's me with my Michael Myers mask when nobody's looking. You think you're alone. Start looking for porn on the web. You hear a noise.
Hello?
He's gonna go out in the hallway, and this is actually... Oh, it's not right now. He's scared himself in the mirror. Hey! He's gonna go out in the hallway, and there's gonna be a janitor dressed up in the Freddy Krueger outfit, and it's actually Wes Craven. Just so self-aware.
Shit.
Did you call me? Huh?
Not you, Fred. Just callbacks and shout-outs and Easter eggs and fucking misleading cliches, and then cliches that hit right on the head. It's just so great. And at this time, this was a pretty original sounding or distinct score. And it actually influenced Halloween H2O, and the score in H2O sounds a lot like this, which I don't love. Mr. Hembry. Ooh, motherfucker. Damn, the Fonz got fucked up. I wonder why the decision to kill the principal. Perfect fucking song.
Mary is telling the truth. Maybe he wasn't being a fool. The housewives have town and business. Maybe
Your shirt's okay, Tatum, but you could have done better.
then how come Cotton couldn't prove it in court? Well,
It's kind of hard to prove an affair.
right. Created by that little tabloid twit, Gail Weathers. It goes further back.
Is this the only time where they're showing us from the killer's perspective?
Can you believe it?
They don't really do that. That was kind of like a Halloween like,
I mean, you can only
Shot.
hear that Richard Gere dribble story
and they
so
did the
many times before you have to start believing it.
which is also what they did when she opened the closet. That beautiful fucking Volkswagen.
Sorry.
Dewey brings his police car home, but they don't have a driveway. I hate neighborhoods like that don't have driveways. Who the fuck designed that?
Brother said, we're starting to sound like
Were they
some
built
story.
before cars?
Don't freak yourself out, okay? We've got a long night ahead of us. Okay?
Oh shit, he's out in the car. That's kind of a goofy... That didn't need to be in there. I didn't need that.
Watch it, jerk.
Of course he works at the video store. That's the dream job for all us movie nerds.
Jesus, this place is bad.
But also
We had a rock.
the job that society labeled for losers. If you worked at a video store, maybe not when you're in high school, because that's kind of a you either work there or McDonald's or whatever.
Okay.
But if you're 30 and work at a video store, people look at you as a loser.
Poor taste. What? If you were the
And you're kind of dead-ended yourself. You're only there because you're enthralled with all these movies, and watching movies isn't really going to get you anywhere. Until YouTube comes out, and you can start making review videos and putting out podcasts and shit. But at this point in time, the video store was pretty dead-end.
Because obviously they don't watch enough movies. This is standard horror movie stuff. Prom night
But
wasn't
I dated a girl in high school whose brother, my girlfriend's brother worked at Hollywood Video, and he would get access to the new releases early. And so I got to watch Napoleon Dynamite like a week before it was actually released on DVD. Oh my fucking God. I was so grateful that day. To me, Napoleon Dynamite's one of the all-time great classic comedies. It got a bit played out at the time because everybody was walking around spouting the lines, and it just got overdone. But if you go back and watch it now, it's fucking hilarious. It's just goofy and doesn't make sense half the time, and it's great.
Why can't they find their pops, man? Because he's probably dead. His body will come popping up in the last reel somewhere. Eyes gouged out.
See, right here, he's going to announce that he's a red herring and that it's Billy, which is the truth.
Who's off track with this shit? If they watch Prom Night, they'd save time. There's a formula to it. A very
He takes it so seriously. Stu's like, yeah, he's high. See, Dad's a red herring, it's Billy.
we know you're not. Huh? Huh? Hi, Billy.
They never really make Randy look like the killer in this, except for maybe at the very end.
I'm the first to admit, if this were a scary movie, I'd be the
Hi, Mary Jane. My dog just came out. I've been out here the whole time. I don't know why you're all excited like I just got home. Yeah, I love you too. Go, go, go. Go lay down. We were so terrified of the millennium. So much time was dedicated to making sure that the Y2K wasn't going to fuck over the world, and then not a goddamn thing happened. I was worried about it. I was authentically worried about it as like a 13-year-old kid. I thought that it was good. I was somehow in my head, I think I was 12 actually, but in my head I had concocted this idea that it was going to be like the Great Depression was going to happen. I thought that it was going to be like mass riots in the street, the starvation, and just the stories you hear about nobody throwing anything away because you couldn't afford anything. That's what I thought Y2K was going to cause. And nothing happened. Thank you, adults. This fucking song is great.
This place is sundown.
Town that Dreaded Sundown. No, you didn't see that fucking movie. It's Texarkana.
I shudder to think.
It's on the border of Texas and Arkansas. If you want to argue, you could argue that the kind of masked killer movie was started by The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which was based on a true story. And you can definitely argue that Jason Voorhees, when he has the bag on his head as instead of a mask, and he's got the hole cut in it, you could definitely argue that was stolen from The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Because that guy was dressed almost exactly like Jason. He was wearing like overalls and a jacket, and he'd have a bag on his head with an eye hole cut in it. But he would use guns and all kinds of weird shit. Or not weird, but more creative than the standard slasher type would use. This guy's wearing the costume in the store. Come on, we don't need these kind of goofy shots. Anyway, Town That Dreaded Sundown was made, I think, in '74. And back in the day, I had never seen it. My dad had told me about it. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I went to Blockbuster, and I had them special order it for me and mail it to me. And I think it cost me something ridiculous, like $70 for a VHS. And, I mean, I watched it several times. I wasn't, like, disappointed with the decision. But that's just the pain in the ass that we had to go through for movies sometimes. Whereas now, I think it's on Amazon Prime. And you can watch it in HD. Like, I paid like $70 for a shitty VHS to be mailed to my house. We also used to pay $20 for a group of 14 songs, then we only liked 3 of them.
Let's
Stuff's changed over the years.
make sure he's our man.
See, there's another red herring. They're trying to make it look like that dude's wearing the boots that the killer has.
You stay close to Sydney.
They're just throwing them at you constantly.
Yes, sir.
Stop making that noise while you eat that fucking ice cream cone. Okay, I'll stop. That probably sucks for people in their headphones. God damn it, Kenny. So now we're here to scene 118. Damn. Seeing these old cars in such great condition really makes me feel good. It's like going to a classic car show where the cars aren't classic, but they're old and they look new, because they were new at the time. Is any of this making sense to you guys? This thing on? They all yelled like she was the stripper and she was there to dance for them. I have actually been to a party that looked like this, but it wasn't my friends having it. It was my aunt that I spoke about earlier that's older than me. That was the first time I ever saw a beer bong. I felt very awkward there because I didn't really understand what was going on. I was younger than all them, and I didn't have the awareness of all these different things that kids those age do. So I wasn't sure if they were smoking cigarettes or weed. I wasn't exactly sure how a beer bong worked. I was just confused by all of it. I always assumed that stuff was seedier than maybe it was, but then again, that's erring on the side of safety. If you assume something's shadier than it is, you'll approach it with caution.
Just keep it in
And that's almost never bad.
I'm gonna take the party out.
Do you mind if I join you?
Suck your dick in the broom closet?
Let me just get my coat.
So you can see in her eyes the way she looks at him, like she likes him. Remarkable pull, David Arquette. Deserves to be placed up as one of the greatest underdog stories of all time. You pulling Courtney Cox. I guess you are a pretty handsome bastard.
Terror train from night. How come Jamie Lee Curtis is in all of his movies?
She's the set of lines like
That's a pretty gay looking watch, Randy. Does it have a clear band? Like a jelly shoe? So the doorbell rings and he goes to get it. He sends her to get a beer. And obviously, she's going to get killed in there. But that's got to be Billy, because he's still running the show in the party. He doesn't run off to go change his clothes or anything. At least let's see what he does. Does he duck off, or does he stay the center of attention? Even if you like celebrities or not, most people get super fake and excited around them. They forget whether or not they actually agree with them or like them, and they become focused on the fact that they're famous, and that gets them excited. I've met a few famous people. No name dropping. At least not right now. Maybe sometime I'll tell you guys a story about when Andy Dick almost molested me. Fucking A with those nipples. What are you doing in me? Whew. Hey, Chihuahua. I guess this could be Stu, because he sneaks in from that door. I just don't know. It just seems to play better to me that Stu wouldn't have left the party and changed his clothes. It would have been easier for Billy to pull off. That was an I-5 sign. I drive on I-5 almost every day. I don't know how he pulled that off. Did she open the garage door just for the light? Is there not a light in there? I guess this could be Stu. It probably is Stu. My bad. And who would want to kill his girlfriend more than him?
Is that you, Randy? The more bellezas from I spit on your garage. Lose the outfit as soon as he sees it.
Okay.
Oh, you want to play psycho killer? Can I be the helpless victim? Okay, let's see. No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface.
Is this the first kill that we have that's not led into by a phone call?
Cut, Casper. That's wrapped.
It would be dope to have more of the phone call element added into the end of the movie, but it's hard to have it play out in the party of kids, really. Maybe not. Maybe they just needed to try it. We may never know. I am gonna go smoke a cigarette, though. Man, I got this friend, he's so bad, he like smokes with cigarettes and stuff. Oh, right in the nuts. She really did hit him in the nuts there. And that one in the face. She claims those were real beer bottles. I don't know. And then for this, anybody who argues that you can't fit through they actually had to build some type of a apparatus that made the hole smaller because she kept falling through the dog door when she was trying to crawl out. And this scene was more graphic in the original cut. They cut this back to help with the rating. You could tell that face was a prosthetic, but stuff wasn't as high quality back then. Still tube TVs and VHS. High fidelity. Those are two very important things. It ups like 3 or 4 quads per channel. No, see, Billy just killed her. I believe that Billy killed Tatum. Because Stu is too seamlessly around. Billy just pops in like that. And Stu would know to send her to the garage and then somehow communicate to Billy that she's there. I don't know how Billy snuck in the house and into the garage with nobody seeing him, but...
What's Leatherface doing here? Can't even make there goes my chances. Damn.
in a group of friend, you always have that group of friends where the guys take turns having crushes on the same girl, or you know, it just moves around that way. This guy will like that girl, and he'll like a different girl, and then she'll like a different guy, and then the girl that he used to like likes him, but now he doesn't like her anymore. The way crushes work when you're young and fucking the hormones and emotions. It's crazy. She just called him Kenneth.
First time for everything.
He's remarkably loyal and positive considering how she treats him.
So,
You trying to fuck?
I'm sorry. I've been selfish. I apologize.
No, Billy,
You most definitely have been.
selfish and
Still, you trying to fuck?
all this post-traumatic stress.
You lost your mom.
Yeah, I know, but you're right.
Enough is enough. I can't wallow in the grief process forever, and I keep lying to myself about who my mom was. Yeah, I think I'm really
Sorry about that. I had to go and take a piss. That usually happens mid commentary.
It's like
And this long drawn out scene between them was a great time to do it.
she keeps having flashbacks of her dead father.
But this is life.
See, everything's a movie to Billy.
That's it.
I totally forgot to address the fact that his name is Billy Loomis, which is a direct tip of the cap to Dr. Samuel Loomis from Halloween. Make one of your main characters have the last name Loomis. They address Halloween several times and in a very respectful way. This scene is like he bought a briefcase at the thrift store and it's locked and he doesn't know the combination and he's been tinkering with it while he watches TV every night after dinner, and he's about to finally crack the code and open up the briefcase, and he doesn't even believe it's real. I know that there's a lot more involved to sex than that in a relationship between two people. These are just jokes, folks.
Sure.
It's an analogy, and if you just look at it from an outsider's point of view, like an alien, that's what he's doing. He's trying to crack the code to get into this box, no pun intended. And he finally cracked it. It was cracked to begin with, or at least slit. Oh! No gratuitous sex scene. See, they're watching Halloween right now. Randy uses it as his framework to explain the rules. It's all goodness. This isn't really something you do at a party, though. This is something you do with a group of close friends. Maybe smoke a joint. Or, you know, smoke 2 joints. Maybe smoke 5. But I guess the party's kind of calming down. Like the music and the shot taking, etc., seems to be coming to a halt.
Only virgins can do that. Don't you know the rules?
You don't know the rules. And they're just going to come out and tell you the rules that you can go back and watch quote unquote classic horror films and they apply to almost all of them. The "you can never have sex" thing wasn't something that John Carpenter actually intended to be part of the reason that Laurie Strode survives, and she's kind of the classic penultimate example of the final girl. John Carpenter's point of view was she wasn't so concerned with getting laid and drunk and partying that she was able to notice that there was some funky shit going on and be more aware and cautious, whereas the other two were just trying to get their fuck on and their party on, and thus were not noticing little signs around them that they should have noticed. That was his point. It wasn't so much the virginity, not having sex thing, or the drinking, doing drugs thing, per se, because Laurie smokes weed in that movie. I'll try to stop referencing Halloween so much. This is a Scream commentary.
The sheriff just radioed. Somebody reported a car in the bushes down the road. I'm gonna go check it out.
See, Dewey's been disappeared for a while. We don't know what he's been up to. So if you're unaware, it's believable that he could be the killer right now. And he's going to shine the flashlight in his face in a second, and it's going to play some creepy music, and he's going to make this face that totally is implying that he could be the killer. See right here. The score, the face, the flashlight. It's like a weird turn there because he's normally pretty goofy. That's kind of the most sinister, creepy he acts. But he's really just being flirty. And he is goofy. He's a little bit dumb and he doesn't mind it. Where's the garage door that none of the people walking out notice this? That notice that Tatum is just wedged in the garage. Did you go downstairs and get the ketchup for your mom's spaghetti?
Obligatory tip shop.
The one of the only issues with this movie, one of the main issues, is that Scary Movie did such an effective job of making fun of it that you can't help but think of elements of Scary Movie when you watch this movie. Scary Movie almost ruined Scream in a way because you can't, in some parts you can't separate the two. Like when he stabs Drew Barrymore in the chest in the beginning, you have to think of the fucking breast implant coming out of Carmen Electra. And then when they're about to fuck, just the jizz shot up into the ceiling. There's just certain elements you can't remove from your mind. I haven't seen Scary Movie in a while, but I don't know that they do an effective job making fun of Halloween, or even try. They definitely go for Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and a bunch of other shit. Super attractive shot, Jamie. I don't get why they're so excited the principal died, and they're so happy to go see it. I wouldn't want to see that. Keep me the fuck away. Y'all are doing that, I'm gonna be over here. Thank you. I'd be Jamie Kennedy in this. I'd be sitting back, watching a movie by myself, like I'm doing right now. Dwight the Rock Johnson. Dewey the soft cop. I wanna sex you up. Let me see your hips swing. It was a chilly February night. He went outside to extinguish his cigarette. Upon stepping on his deck, discovered that it was slippery as fuck. No permanent damage was sustained. He did, however, scare the shit out of himself and increase his heart rate slightly. Solid kiss. Another reason David Arquette wanted this role. He wanted to be able to kiss Courtney Cox. Who could blame him? Again, tremendous job pulling that, David. Excellent. I guess you just couldn't handle your crazy for an extended period of time, and sometimes that happens. But would you trade it? Would you give up what you had to avoid the situation you're in now? You can't really ask yourself those questions because that's not how life works. You play the hands, you play the card that you're dealt, and then when your cards change later down the road, you play that hand. You just play the hand that you have at the time. Pick up the pieces and move on. Try to get my fucking dog back in the house. I talk shit about my dog, but I love my dog. She's my favorite dog I've ever had, favorite pet I've ever had. If she was a person, she'd be one of my favorite people. She'd probably talk shit. Where the fuck is she at?
When I caught her in her nest.
Oh my god. I guess I'll just sit down and wait for her ass. It's always something.
You don't still.
At least my son didn't piss the bed and then come out here, which has happened before.
No.
She's kind of realizing now that it's him, and she's already fucked him.
Very clever way to throw me off track. You know, using your one phone call to call me so that everything.
See, and that's something the audience has been thinking the whole time, and so she just goes ahead and points it out. But like I said, the voice box thing, he wouldn't have been able to change his voice if he called her from jail.
What do I have to do?
And now we're believing he's the killer, and they're gonna go ahead and turn that on its head by having him get stabbed.
Oh my god.
Sydney.
Billy went down.
And there's an interesting cut here, because later he's chasing her down the hallway and he has a clean knife, but the knife gets bloody. See, he goes to wipe the knife there. He does it early. Now the knife's bloody. Now it's clean. Now it's bloody again, and he wipes it. And they did that just so when he chases her through the hallway here, they had already filmed that. They filmed out a sequence. And the knife is clean from this point on. So they had to come up with a way to make it match continuity-wise. So they had him wipe the knife off on screen so that when he chases her here and the knife is clean, it makes sense. But they fucked up the cut a little bit, because he stabs Billy, he goes to wipe the knife off in that shot. It cuts to her, it goes back to Billy and Ghostface, and the knife is all bloody again still. Then it goes back to him again. He's already wiped the knife off and it's clean, and then it goes back to him again and shows him wiping it off. So it's still a little bit choppy. You don't notice it as easily though. And I do appreciate that they at least noticed that there was a continuity issue that they needed to fix. That the knife was clean in the future scenes, so it needed to be a reason for it. So just make him wipe off the knife. There's not really an excuse to do it in the story, but you're making your continuity play. Goddamn, her ass looked good there. Unfortunately, she's hot as hell, but in the later movies, I discover that she's badonkadonk-less. She needs to do some squats. Nev, if you're out there, squats. I guess you're interested probably now in more serious roles that aren't so much based on your attractiveness as you were when you were young. Not to say that's all you offered. You're great in 54. I love you in that movie, 54. And in these. I don't have anything against you, Nev. I listened to a classic Love Line that you were on from like 1995 the other day. And you were fine. Your voice is great. This is very Halloween-esque, him staring at him from behind the couch like this. Another thing that varies from most horror movies, look at how well lit the house is. Look at the TV and the Halloween scene that's playing with that pursuit, and then look at how well lit this house is. Was he really gonna kill Randy here? Because he hears her scream and just totally changes his mind. But he was already chasing her, and he wasn't going to continue that pursuit. Or he didn't want Randy to get in the way later. I'd go for that bag of chips right now. Give me that. At this point, Kenny has forgotten about the 30-second delay. So he's about to goof. Great shot. Get some. I want that top story jacket. I bet if you could get that jacket, you could sell it on eBay for a good amount of money. Oh. One thing Scream kind of accomplishes well is there's not a lot of lore or controversy or critique on the portrayal of Ghostface himself. There's not a lot, there's not a lot of criticism of the look. The mask doesn't change. Nobody's ever like, he looked goofy in that movie compared to another movie. It all seems to play out well. And another thing that Kevin Williamson did was he submitted this screenplay with a 5-page treatment for where he wanted to go with Scream 2. So he already had an idea of where he was going in the future, so he knew how to tie this one up better. There were some last-minute changes. Dewey originally wasn't supposed to survive. He was supposed to die here. And then they added that scene at the end where you see him wave while he's going into the ambulance, and that's how we know he lived. Now we get the Halloween music because Halloween is playing. That is fucking great. And they lined it up so that it works with the scene. I love it. Watch Jamie fall down the stairs. God damn. Hearing that music just makes you want to watch Halloween. they paid it its proper respects though. Mmm, yummy. You like it. She's not wearing a wig, is she? Her hair looks a bit funky. Get funky. Slide to the left. Slide to the right. Oh, fuck. She got him good with that goddamn phone. He's just trying to escape. Her windshield is covered in blood. That is a great shot. It's because Kenny, the cameraman with the sliced throat, is up on the roof. And when they shot this, he said he's up there and he just had his ankle tied to the roof rack. And the stunt driver took off driving and turned too fast, and he about flew off the car and grabbed the windshield wiper with his hand. You can see him grabbing onto the windshield wiper before they turn the corner. Oh, goddamn, this is how you fuck up and escape. Right her. This is where the audience goes, God damn it, you dumbasses. This is kind of the moment like where you're screaming at the girl not to run up the stairs. Except for, it plays out well. She got in the way. Gail swerved. She's not a Fast and the Furious driver. Plus that van probably handled like shit. Dewey got spinal surgery. Dewey is in trouble. So this is all stew, because Billy's upstairs, laid out, pretend dead. I haven't been keeping track when I've been spouting off who I think it is and at what times. I haven't been keeping track. I might have to listen back to this or just go through the movie quickly on fast forward or something and make a list, and then I can do like a summary of my opinion of who I think is doing what. I think people on YouTube world might like that. I'll probably get lit the fuck up, but whatever. No risk, no reward. I saw the new Bumblebee movie, but confession, it was the first Transformers movie I'd ever seen, so I thought about doing a review, but I also thought that I would get my asshole eaten out by all the people that are huge fans of the franchise, and I wouldn't know what the fuck I'm talking about. The one thing I have working for me is that it's a prequel, so you don't really have to know much about what happened before it, I guess. I didn't mind it. Anyway, we're back to this final chase scene. He managed to get in the back of the car. She was running kind of awkward there. Her hands were down by her waist and she was kind of twisting. It was like she was walking down a runway but quickly. Oh no. Now poor Jamie. He's just... See, we're coming down to the final thing for the audience. The first time you see this, you don't know who the killer is yet. And everybody's been kind of eliminated at this point, except for these two. And I haven't mentioned yet that that's one of the brilliant original things that this movie brought into the picture, was that there was two killers. There had never been a pair or a team of killers before like that. Now Billy's got to come down and make his dramatic re-entry. Every time I see him all bloody like this, I just think ketchup, what my mom puts on her spaghetti. Every time. God damn you, Scary Movie. There's no holes in his shirt. Which isn't a flaw in the movie. It's points to the fact that he didn't actually get stabbed. There's no holes in his shirt. Now we finally get the reveal, and he's gonna act like his real self. That wasn't a decisive shot. He shot him in the right shoulder. Your heart's on the left side. Didn't shoot him in the head. It's like they have a certain respect for Randy, or they're trying to frame him.
Corn syrup. Same stuff they use for pig's blood and carry.
So that is brilliant, but the plan that Stu and Billy have is to stab each other up and be the only survivors of this murderous rampage of Sydney's father. So, how is he going to explain to the cops later why he has red corn syrup all over his clothes in addition to blood? That is a bit of a quandary. I wonder how they did that, because the voice box obviously isn't real. So do they just have it pre-recorded and he just pushes the button and says it at the exact same time? Again, when this gets revealed that they're the killers and there's two of them, it's just, ah! I have seen the coming of the glory of the Lord.
Easy heroes to frame. Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
Record a few commentaries, start a YouTube channel. See what the internet does for people? How many people would have turned out like these guys, but now they can just go online and make videos about movies? I'm not saying I'm one of those people.
Let's do it. Some motive. I don't really believe in motive, Sid. I mean, did Norman Bates have a motive? No. Did they ever really decide why Hannibal Lecter liked him?
And this is interesting because they were deciding if they were going to give them a motive or not. And they kind of went with both.
That woman was a slutbag.
He basically explains that he doesn't like motives. But then he explains that they killed the mother because she was a slut and sleeping around town and caused his mother to leave his father. So he doesn't like motives, but he also has one.
Your secret mother was fucking my father. And she's the reason my mom moved out and abandoned me.
It all makes sense now. Her mind just exploded.
Total abandonment caused a serious deviant behavior, so they fucked you up and made you have sex with a psychopath.
That's right. You gave it up. Now you know.
You broke the rules. Could your sweatshirt be any baggier, Stu?
Now you gotta die. Those are the rules. It's on the scary movie, Sid. How do you think it's gonna end?
His fake bloody hand looks so fucking creepy. This one's a screamer!
This one, it's a scream, baby. Hold on a second. Be right back.
I also haven't addressed that this movie's name was originally Scary Movie, which is really weird to think about now because there's an entire franchise of movies titled Scary Movie 2, etc. So to picture this being called Scary Movie, and the title almost implies that it's a satire or a parody just because of how much we have attached to that branding now. But this was actually entirely filmed and wrapped as Scary Movie, and then in post-production they changed the name to Scream.
Went on a murder spree, killing everyone.
Except for Billy and me. We were left for dead.
Then he kills you and shoots himself in the head.
And plus, if the film is titled Scary Movie, it kind of wraps it in this film of being generic. It makes it sound super generic, like it's just another scary movie. And they wanted it to be different and reinvent the genre. So to call it Scary Movie would have kind of given people the image in their head that it is just another of the same, of what they've seen before. So this is another thing that was cut up a lot in post-production to get them their R rating. This, where they're stabbing each other, and it cuts to Sydney so much and hangs on their faces, that's because it used to be a lot more gory, and it actually really showed them getting into each other and stabbing. And I feel like that would have made this a lot more visceral of a moment, and it would have carried a lot more weight and just been a heavier scene for the audience to absorb. Just seeing the brutality and how crazy they really are and the lengths they're willing to go to. See, he's spitting all over the place, but that's just who he is. See, it's on her face instead of them stabbing each other. They also didn't like this line.
You get the gun. I'll have it pops, okay?
She's got the gun.
Houston, we have a problem.
Uh,
Fuck is it?
oh, I forgot about her. Son of a bitch. Still does.
The reporter left her dead in the news van? Comes to.
If you've ever been around somebody that's dead, fairly quickly after it happens, you can very much tell they get flush. The color starts to leave their skin, and they get noticeably cooler from, like, their skin temperature. The surface of their skin is noticeably cooler than a live person. I know that from experience. It's almost weird. It's like once somebody goes, you really have a concrete understanding of what has just happened. Whatever was there that made them them is gone now. This is just, it's like a broken down car that's going to the junkyard. I don't mean that in a judgmental sense. I'm just saying that's kind of the physics of the issue. You really realize that it was just a vehicle, and whatever was there that made this person a person and made them uniquely them is not there anymore. So it kind of, the mourning over a dead body is a little bit absurd to me, like the actual physical body after it's dead, because that's not what the person was. That's really gone now. That was a super huge tangent. I'm sorry. Now she's flipping the script on them. She's getting smart on them. I love this conversation with him about, did you really call the police? My mom's gonna be so mad at me. That goddamn watch. I think that was pretty fashion forward. I don't think those came into style till years later. This part here where he hits him with the phone, that was improv. It was an accident. The fake blood made the phone slip out of his hand, and he hit Matthew Lillard with it. So he just yelled, "You hit me with the phone, dick." It's like he accidentally drove the car through the garage door. Your mom and dad, how about the law is gonna be mad at you. You might get the electric chair for this shit. This is well thought out, planned, executed, maniacal violence. You don't just get a little slap on the wrist for this shit. You're going away, bub. You're gonna have to plead guilty to avoid the death penalty. I guess you're in California. I don't think they do the death penalty. You lucked out there. Did somebody rewind Halloween? How is it still only to that point in the movie? Earlier it showed her falling down the stairs and him pursuing her. That happens after the closet scene. Doesn't it? I think so. I can't remember right now. Shit. Yeah, because the closet scene is where she stabs him with the coat hanger and he falls on the floor. Then she goes out into the hallway and he sits up and he's in front of that closet. Somebody had to have rewound this movie. If they had just let it play out from where it was, it'd be over by now.
In your dreams.
I was talking over the dramatic killing of Stu there. I apologize. One thing that's interesting is that Stu was actually hired and paid to come back and play the killer in Scream 2, which would have been interesting, but also not very plausible. He just got that TV dropped on his head, and if he had survived, that would have been a major part of the aftermath here. The parting scene, when the introduction later at the beginning of Scream 2, it would have been common knowledge that Stu had survived, unless they were going to try to make it a twin brother or some bullshit to that effect. So I really like the idea of him coming back and being the killer in the second one, but you can't have him die the way he did in this one, because then it gets too far-fetched. So luckily they ended up not going that route, because it just wouldn't have been right. It would be, yeah, the logic police would get you, because it's like, how did he live and not get arrested, etc. How did he live, period? Speaking of period, Billy looks like somebody just had their period all over him.
Supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare.
Way worse than a golden shower. Ooh.
Not in my movie.
See, they even announce that that's going to happen and then kill it dead right there.
Dad.
Stu doesn't get his final scare, but he got a fucking TV dropped on his face. On his face. His nose would be a pancake. Father of the Year. See, Dewey's alive. They added that in just so that we would know.
Okay, I think it's gonna go something like this.
Iconic fucking house. Stu's house.
Hi, this is Gail Weathers with an exclusive eyewitness account of this amazing.
There you go, bitch. You didn't have to make any shit up or pontificate or whatever. You lived this. It's your story to tell.
Mystery of the man
Unfortunately, you tell it on somebody else's behalf.
like the plot of some scary movie. It all began
And you describe Dewey in a way that
with a bloodbath.
makes him want to falcon punch you in your cunt muscle.
All played out here in this peaceful farmhouse, far from the crimes and the sirens of the larger.
There we go. So, we're coming to the culmination here. Hopefully that played out well. I had a bunch of stuff in my head I wanted to say about this movie, and sometimes you get caught up in the moment of what you're watching when it's actually playing out in front of you, and you don't always get to address the points that you wanted to address and say the things you wanted to say. Hopefully I managed to cover all those bases and give you guys a reasonable product. And like I said, we're getting into some territory where I'm not quite as knowledgeable and comfortable as I was in the Halloween domain. I had given a lot of thought over the years and watched the Halloween movies so many times and looked at them from a perspective of trying to analyze, because unlike this movie, you never get the final explanation for what's going on. You're never fully told. And so there's room for us to what if and yeah but and all that kind of stuff that doesn't exist so much in like a Scream movie. So that's why I think that Michael Myers still lives on and Halloween still lives on is some of the greatest stuff, because I think deep down in people's heart they want to take guesses and they want to think they have the secret, and they want to think that they figured it out, and they want to tell people. So movies like Halloween that don't offer a hell of a lot of explanation allow room for that argument. When you start getting into movies that have a bunch of explanation, there's no room for those conversations to take place. And I think really people really enjoy having those conversations. Look at ESPN. Most of ESPN is just dudes in suits talking about sports. It's not actual sports. I mean, if you had to look at like percentage of the time that they spend broadcasting, I guarantee you that at least 50, if not 75% of the time is dudes in suits talking as opposed to actual sports. And that's fine. They're fulfilling a need. People want it. People want pontification. They want pontification has kind of a pompous tone to it. I can't think of the other word. Conjecture. They want people to come up with an opinion that's interesting and provocative. And, that's why people are into conspiracy theories. They like trying to figure out something that they think nobody else has figured out, or a hidden secret, a hidden truth. Anyway, another tangent. So that's why I had probably more stuff to say about the Halloween movies. But I also, because of that, had to take them very seriously. So the thought now, or the question now is, do I go into stuff that I have an easier time making fun of and try to take it that route instead of being so analytical and serious and actually trying to piece together some type of a theory or review on the spot while I'm watching the movie? Should I just go goofy with it? These are all questions I ask myself. Anyway, Scream 96. A remarkable accomplishment of reinventing a genre. So many original ideas, as well as Easter eggs and callbacks to the greats. The way that they worked in the cliches, and like I said, announced some of them and then did them anyway, is just so well put together. It feels so much like the era, especially having been around in that era. I was a little bit younger than that generation. I wasn't in high school at this time, but I was around. It feels like it did back then. It's just piece of the 90s. The way that they communicate with each other. They're not dumb. They don't insult the audience's intelligence. Wes Craven really came back with a bang. He hadn't had a hit in several years leading up to this. It was just an awesome time to be a horror fan, because then we got a bunch of follow-up films, and even though some of them sucked, at least they were being made. It's better than no content whatsoever. I'm a fucking poster child for that. I just keep putting out shit. I don't really bother to edit it or worry about if one's better than the other. If one's subpar, well, there's going to be another one coming after that. And if one's better than another one, I don't get too excited, because there'll probably be a shitty one down the road. We're just going to keep it moving. So the final opinion of Scream, I kind of gave you the rundown there. It ranks up higher in my all-time scary movie list. And a lot of that is probably generational. And I've seen it many times, and I'll see it many more times to come. A rating, I probably would rate it... I'm struggling between 8 and 8.5. I'm probably going to go with... I might go with a 9. 8.5. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. So a solid one. If you notice, if you've ever listened to my other ones, usually the worse the movie is, the more times I stop and take a bong hit or stop and smoke a cigarette in the middle. And I only took that one bong hit at the beginning, or I guess it was 2, but none while the movie was actually playing, and then the one cigarette break, but that's kind of par for the course. That's not a lot. It really kept my attention. I was interested in it. Even though, frankly, because I wanted to brush up a little bit, I've watched this movie all the way through twice within the last week leading up to this, just so I could get my shit straight. And it still kept my attention and kept me going. It's a really awesome accomplishment. And if you haven't seen it, sorry for ruining all the shit for you, but go ahead and watch it. Until the next time, or actually, please like, subscribe, share, comment, all that shit. You can find videos on Avarice Trading on YouTube, Avarice Podcast. You can search that up on SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, it should be there. Or you can go to my Instagram at Avarice Trading, and there's a link tree in my bio, and that has links to absolutely everything that you could need to find, even just a direct copy and paste RSS feed that you can put into whatever you use as a podcast player. Appreciate you listening, watching, whatever you did, however you're consuming this. I'll keep pumping out the shit. Until the next time, this is Devin saying, be easy.